Good evening. How are you doing? क्या चल रहा है?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. Just recovering from COVID, slowly writing stuff, getting stuff together, and then
Mm-hmm.
yeah, bus thoda getting back to shape.
Back to shape. How has your COVID experience been? You just recently got out of it, right?
Yeah, mine was a little shitty. Like if the oxygen level went down, then I would have had to go to the hospital. Luckily, it stayed, so
Okay.
that was a big deal for me. But then I had inflamed internal organs, which sounds more horrible than it was. But that just means that I needed steroids to get them to calm the hell down.
Normalize.
Yeah. But it was bad. The numbers make it look bad. Like it should have been 5, but I was at 87. That was
What is
my
5 and 87?
so the swelling of your internal organs was like it's supposed to be like at 5. That was supposed to
Okay.
be in my medical report, but it was ending up at 87. So it was quite bad. It sounds
Ouch.
very bad. Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds very bad. Damn. I'm glad you're all right. Most of us didn't even know that you were going through it. You told me when I
Yeah.
asked you the last time, but I'm glad you're fine. You and your
Yeah, I
girlfriend?
just dropped off. I didn't go like, "Arey, I have COVID." No, I just dropped off because I was running 102 for a long time. It just
Okay.
wouldn't come down. The fever would break like 3 times a day, and every time I was like, "Okay, it's done now. The t-shirt is drenched, so this is how a fever breaks. You now have to go to recovery mode." Nope, it goes back to 200 the moment the paracetamol effect wears
Oh,
off.
wow. This is the first time I'm speaking to someone on the show who's gone through COVID and it's been
Hmm.
intense. And I
Yeah,
mean, the
without Aparna, I would have been screwed. Like because we were too far away from my mother to help out, and so like, it's imagine like because I got it from her, and she had a slightly milder version of it, but for me it came back pretty horrible. And
mother or Aparna?
So Aparna got it, and then I got it from her. And my mother, luckily, so I first of all, I wouldn't want her to come here even if I was alone. So
Yeah.
hats off to a lot of people and like bachelors, guys, girls who are just like alone and probably are people who have like had to go through this alone at home.
Mm-hmm. Oof. That escalated really fast. But
Yeah,
I'm
dude,
glad.
it's messed up. It's a messed up situation. How can you avoid it and how can you not like address it? Money नहीं होता है कुछ करने का. Like I don't know how you're creating and how you're doing stuff because like I'm just spending my day going, okay, okay, this is a ventilator thing. Okay, I can probably share it. I can probably like I've got friends who are like so like, and I've made friends on the chat here on Instagram. So thank you. Shout out to a lot of people who are sending me good stuff verified by themselves, and they're like, "Other, this is verified. You can share it." Just generic stuff for people. So good times ahead. Hopefully, because people have rallied together and helping out. So yeah.
And so, how has your mindset changed from the first lockdown to now? Considering that, I'm guessing you were safe and sound through the first one, and
Yes,
the
I
second
was.
one it got you.
Uh, it 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 got me, my sister, and my fiance simultaneously. And my sister had gone to like a ICU ward to help out somebody else. So the moment she came back, so this is a bit of an annoying, horrible strain.
Mm-hmm.
And we are not really like last time. I think it was a milder version. And what has changed is like I always knew that if anything, my entire opinion of this is superimposed. Okay, oh, we have to be way more careful about this. Just like last year, I knew that I had to like stick at home, stay at home, and just make sure that. And that's where the content came from. You're just sitting at home, and you can't really do anything, so you end up like you can't stop the writing thing that you want to do, and you end up creating stuff. In this case, it's similar, but it's it's more in your face. Like just because there has been a certain amount of like this has been quite like bad for us. This has been very bad for us. There's no point mincing words here. It's way worse than last time. Last time we actually got like we escaped. This time we got a little careless. And I've seen that during shows also when we started traveling again. There's like people roaming around in airports not giving a shit. And I was like, oh, and I'm too scared to even like let my mask move while I'm traveling. And I see people at airports not caring, and this was in January and February. So it's a lesson, and probably we gotta be way more careful. Like, क्या अभी क्या बोलूं?
Yeah, I mean, there's not much to say. We can just do our part, stay at home, not
Yeah,
get out when
absolutely.
unnecessary.
Hmm.
So, well, I mean, okay, let's go on a little lighter side.
Yes, yes.
Talk about the boring tutorials that you were doing when you started,
Huh.
and and how did that come about?
Um, I was doing a series because यार live shows बंद हो गए थे, corporate shows बंद हो गए थे. At this point, it had become like, holy hell, I gotta pay my bill somehow, and I gotta exercise my brain somehow where I put something out that need to put something out.
Mm-hmm.
And I was on a schedule, so I would do this one character I had, which was called Mahesh Mawali, who was like very like he was this woke. Woke guy, woke Mawali guy. Like it was this circuit. What if Circuit from Munna Bhai was like really woke and spoke about current issues? So from his mouth, a current issue, just saying the fact is funny as opposed to becoming very serious. So it was fun. There was a bunch of other characters that I used to do. So I had created like a schedule. I would do songs, da da da. One day I was truly too tired to do it, and I felt like making a smoothie.
Hmm.
And I was like, okay, I need to put out something because I've committed to myself that this particular month I will put out something every day. So I stuck the camera on the window, and I recorded myself for about 15 minutes just doing random stupid stuff while making the smoothie and just addressing the camera occasionally. And I was genuinely bored that day. And it just that's what happened. I made the smoothie because I wanted to eat it, and it was like ice cream. So I freeze it and whatever. So I just called it making ice cream at home. And then I started eating it and I started editing it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, through editing it, I realized what this was. It's like, oh, this is how I want to edit it. This is how it's going to be because it cannot be a 15-minute cooking video. So it became a concise 2 minuter from all the literally just taking exactly the parts that I want, and there are no spaces in between. If there is a silent point, then that silent point is also supposed to be a punchline. So like if there is some sort of silence, like a pregnant pause, then it is meant to be there. Otherwise, there is no fat in the video as much as possible. So that's where it kind of happened, and that's where and when I uploaded it, I was like, haha, it'll be like some people will comment. Next morning, I woke up, I was like, oh shit, this is something else. So the randomest ideas, I think, end up getting picked up. I think it was the character that worked. It was just me
Yeah.
genuinely being bored, and that just, I think, resonated because everybody at that point of time was making cooking videos like, "Hi guys, I'm going to be making paneer," and I was just like, "No, dude, I'm bored when I cook. I'm just bored right now doing my dishes, cooking my food." So that was the thing.
Wow. And you spoke a lot of things which like that I picked up on. One was that you had committed to post every day in that
Yeah.
month. And because you didn't have work, you didn't have shows coming in. So
Hmm.
this was your way of making sure that you stay sane through the lockdown? Like that
Um,
commitment?
See, what happened was like we didn't get to go to open mics anymore.
Hmm.
And open mics was a place where I got to try out new material every day. So that made my day feel like I have done something where you write 10 jokes or whatever, you write 3 minutes, 5 minutes of material, and then you perform that 5 minutes at an open mic, or you go at a show and you're doing like a 20-minute set, and then you insert those new jokes there. So there's like a sense of achievement that you get after you've just like done something new.
Right.
That went away. All of a sudden, it's gone, and you can't stop writing. Like I realized I was gonna go crazy if I stopped doing that, and after a while being locked down is it was like yeah, this has to come out somewhere, and I calmly just sat okay, okay, YouTube is it had become a space where it's formal content. You
Mm-hmm.
know, you're shooting it with the right camera, sound, and stand up hai wahan pe, music hai, the way you make sure that the sound is right, which I'm letting go of now. Like in this lockdown, now I'm like, okay, I'm going to treat YouTube like a place where you create stuff that is like, in fact, I'll start putting boring tutorials back on YouTube also and create like a thing and make it a slightly more informal space, because the more sacred you make a certain platform for yourself, the more difficult it is for you to keep replicating that. Because every stand-up video used to cost us a lot of money when we were starting out. So like to pay for cameras, and you know this, like to pay for cameras, the sound, making sure the venue costs and stuff like that. So it was a really expensive thing to do, and if you don't get the video you want, then it was heartbreaking because on that night that particular thing didn't work. So letting go of that, I think the lockdown situation with content specifically has been like, just go informal. It's okay. You write the hell out of it as much as you can to the best of your ability, and you're happy with it. You can shoot it. I try my best to shoot it as well as I can, and that's it. After that, you just put it up. If it's funny, it's funny. It stays. That's all. Like when the big video comes, you say this is a big video, and the other ones can be fun content that you're creating, which are shorter.
Right. And while you were speaking of the smoothie tutorial video, you
Hmm.
also spoke about the part where you sat to edit it, the part where you made sure that it was tight. There was a lot of
Yeah.
production elements that you were talking about, where as a one-man show, you have to
Hmm.
take care of not just performing, but also shooting, also editing, and also promoting it and putting it out there. Like we've all become one-man army. Um,
Yeah.
how much has that changed from what it was pre-lockdown to now for you? Like, how much of your editing used to be something that you anyways used to do, and now how much more do you have to do, or how less has that become?
So if I'm doing like a formal edit, which I used to before, it used to be on my laptop, and I used to sit down and like I have a very this I think Abish taught me this organization method, and Kenny had taught him, and it's a brilliant organization method for your videos.
Mm-hmm.
Where you put down your footage, you put down your audio, you put down your music, and it's this wonderful, cute folder that you just drag, drop, and every time you start a project, you just drag, drop
Mm-hmm.
that, and it's all just perfectly organized. So I had that system in place. I used to edit some of the YouTube videos. Um, I had to throw that out the window when I was producing daily content, and luckily the technology has, I think, supported us way more now,
Mm-hmm.
because like I do most of the boring tutorials specifically on the phone. I force myself to do it on the phone. Like if I can't pull it off on the phone, then probably the idea cannot be executed fast enough. So it's about the speed, and then there are times because I keep thinking, oh, this is supposed to be on the laptop. This is an idea that needs to be created on the laptop specifically. Um, I will come up with a better idea or a more innovative idea because because I cut that resource out from under my arsenal or in my arsenal. Like you're not allowed to go to the laptop. You have to figure this out on your phone. So I use a bunch of phone apps, editing apps, and I experimented with a bunch. InShot is my favorite right now, and get the paid version. Uh, yeah, like it's weird when I see creators who I know are charging like a lot of money for the videos, and I see the InShot का watermark there. It's like
Ad का
दे दो ना
watermark.
यार 100 रुपया, 100 रुपए का है वो, तुम मतलब एक कॉफी भी नहीं पियोगे वो पैसे की.
So, that's a very interesting point you brought up about the work that we used to do on a laptop
Hmm.
versus the work that can now be done on a phone. And
Yeah.
um, I mean, I for one, when I sit down to edit these highlights and put them
Hmm.
up every time after the session happens, it's actually that when I edit it on my phone, it's much faster versus if I'm rendering it on the computer, even a 10-minute clip takes a good 1 hour to render, and that none of that stuff happens on the phone. So I mean, I guess the lockdowns just made us a lot more I don't know, smart about the way we use our technology or experiment with our technology, right?
Shouldn't you like? I think it should be something that you really have to catch up to now. Like right now, I was supposed to upgrade, so I've had my laptop for the last 6 years or more.
Mm-hmm.
Almost, I had it in 2014 or 15. I had it,
Mm-hmm.
and it was going out of this because that's what Macintosh does. And after 6 years, you can't use the laptop. So I had a big choice to make, and I've actually got the iPad, and
Mm-hmm.
I'll probably do like a boring review on this at some point. But it was there are edit softwares on this that are fantastic, and I've recently edited stand up on this
Okay.
before sending it to the editor. Like they send me like we shoot multiple shows, so
Mm-hmm.
there are times where you're like, okay, I want this show to end, this part to be here, and then you take the a joke from the next show where some things go wrong or the camera is shaking and stuff like that, or somebody like whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Screwed up audio here and there. So you edit and mix match between the shows. Like, okay, what is the best product that
Yeah.
you can give for a particular bit, and certain camera angles that you want. I literally edited that on my laptop as opposed to writing an email, okay, this is how I want and explaining it to an editor. I just went, okay, I am going to do this,
Mm-hmm.
send it forward to the editor. The editor will make it better because he sees everything that
Yeah.
I want. And then my director, she sat there on it, and then she's like, she's got her own view on how like certain, and then she adds to it.
Mm-hmm.
So it speedens up the process way more because I know exactly where I want to cut a
Yeah.
particular line. So they don't have any confusion with regard to it.
Yeah.
So that is not an issue. It's all about, oh, how can we make it aesthetically better now? How can we mix the sound better? Or the whatever, जो भी है, 50
Subtitles
और
and all of that. Yeah.
just subtitles को भी funny बनाना पड़ता है because
Yeah.
sometimes it's like I love the subtitles on the IGTV now because people are like the subtitles are so bad, the auto-generated
The auto
subtitles.
captions. Yeah.
And people are like, how are you doing this? These subtitles are so funny. I was like, I'm not doing anything. There's some random algorithm screwing up subtitles which you're finding funny.
Uh, yeah, but right, you're right about the part where only you can decide. I mean, it's best, right, when you yourself know
Hmm.
exactly where to end something. Because I mean that there's a
Right.
reason why I can't have someone else on this project because I know the highlights that happen versus someone else's version of the highlights of this. So it's made us all a
Absolutely.
lot
Absolutely.
more independent this time around, basically.
Hmm.
So, Other, we worked a very long time back on a show for MTV called Bachelor Pad, Philips MTV
Yeah,
Bachelor
dude.
Pad.
We were locked inside a house. It was weird. Like it felt like a lockdown because we had a one bedroom apartment. It was a one bedroom apartment, right? It
Yeah,
was a one bedroom apartment with 50 people.
yeah, with the whole
At
crew
some
and
point,
five
yeah, with
actors.
the
Yeah,
whole crew, lighting, set. There were times you have only a 10 by 10 ka space to sit down, and there's five actors all the time, and then there's setting. There's the writers. Kautuk was also there at some point,
yeah,
and he would come in and he's like, okay, these are changes, and then you're improvising. But somehow he managed to do it. It was so weird, like every time, and I would literally sit for hours between takes if somebody else is shooting on a chair like this. And that is it. I got comfortable in sleeping in this position for about a month or 20 days or something, 20 25 days.
right.
But it
How
was a mess.
has
Uh, uh.
how has that other changed? Like, I mean, you were deadpan funny even then. Like, I remember you
uh.
walking between takes, you'd like pick on someone or something, just say something and bounce. That was
Yeah, very
other
seriously.
than,
Yeah.
yeah. And then there's the other that became part of SMG, and then the other which is now the one that we're talking to right now. How has
Yeah.
other changed over the years?
I So the thing is, I've pretty much the sense of humor has gotten better. I have gotten more comfortable in my skin where I'm not like trying to ape somebody. Like I would in a show or something, of course, if you're playing a character, you would try to do something.
Mm-hmm.
But I never really accepted the straight-faced nature of it. I wouldn't really bring it to the stand-up, which
Mm-hmm.
I have accepted over time. Like it's come to the stand-up now, and it used to be there in the music because there was so much more to distract my mind that I wouldn't notice because the music is very high energy. So when I would set up the song, I would do it very straight-faced and like, but I wouldn't um, consciously bring it into jokes. And now I'm like, okay, I got to start doing that way more. I'm more comfortable with it. Once the audience gets used to it in the first 5-10 seconds, then they're like, okay, what this is what this person is. They readjust. They're
Mm-hmm.
like, okay, this is what this person's humor is. I got that first laugh. Okay, I'm gonna laugh at these points now. Like they want to laugh. And I read Steve Martin's autobiography, I think. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
Born Standing Up, Steve Martin. And he said that like you take the audience like a balloon, okay, and then you're filling it up, and they are looking for a release. And if you don't give that release, after a while, everything becomes funny. Like he would
Right.
just wear a couple of rabbit ears and just talk about something very, very serious. But it's a man talking about something gravely serious, but with rabbit ears on his head. And it just becomes funny after the first 4 5 lines, and then it's just hilarious because then he improvises some. Then you start feeling the audience, and then you can improvise a little, tweak it here, there, and they are in the palm of your hand, which is
Right.
wonderful. And there are those shows which where that happens. And it's like, oh, that's fantastic when that happens.
And how much do you miss doing these live shows right now?
What was horrible is I got to go to Bangalore
Mm-hmm.
and we did a show. Um, we did a bunch of stand-up shows which are smaller, like only like 50 people or something.
Mm-hmm.
And then we did an improv show in Bangalore uh, with 300 people. I was like, oh shit, this felt good. And then we changed it up and these guys, Danish, with Danish and all these guys, the improv troupe in Bangalore.
Right.
And I have been having so much fun with them. And then they ended up booking Chordia, which is a 1,000-seater, and we sold half the seats because of distancing.
Right.
So there were 500 seats and people were still asking for more. So we added another show and then there was another 500. So in a day, you've ended up like doing like a 500 seater twice over. And then suddenly, and we're planning like, oh, we're going to book this auditorium again in 25 days. And in 25 days, everything is locked down. We were actually like, it had become like, good. Now we're going to start again. And it just complete stop. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's the horrible part. But क्या करें अभी?
And you were a part of SNG. First you were alone, then
Yes.
you were a part of SNG, and now you're alone
Yes.
again.
Hmm.
What changes in the group dynamics? How does it change from when you're being alone to being performing in a group, or like rubbing off each other's energies and then again being alone? Like, is it difficult to make the transition, or is it?
Like, I think once I met Varun Kautak, Bridge, and Neville and all, and it was
Mm-hmm.
like, it was straightforward. We started working on the improv troupe, and the improv troupe was led by Bridge. And
Mm-hmm.
Bridge and I got really like, it was weird. Like, we became friends very fast. And I think it was the love of improv and I think both of us came from a significant amount of stage acting experience. And it became very easy for me to like do the improv to the point where I was like, "Acha, chal, sorry, stand up, chod. I'll be an improviser
Improv.
because क्या बोलते हैं it's there are comedians who are improvisers like then I started reading up more. Bridge was from America, so he introduced me to way more comedians. And at that point of time, the only person I used to like from SNL that I had liked the most was Tina
Hmm.
Fey. And then he had geeky knowledge about SNL, to the point where you don't know. At that point, we didn't know too much. We just saw those
Right.
sketches, and I used to really like Tina Fey and Amy Poehler, and Seth Meyers was also awesome. And then he
Mm-hmm.
was like, okay, Tina Fey is the head writer, and this is how it works, and da 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 da. What is the hierarchy? And then it was more impressive that she was the head writer, acting and writing sketches. And she never did stand up. She never did stand up. I was like, okay, maybe I should do improv. And that's where the improv team started with SNG.
Mm-hmm.
And then the stupidity happened, and then we kind of broke up. But Akele se coming together was very
Mm-hmm.
important at that time because it was pooling in resources. If I have to
Right.
shoot a stand-up comedy video which costed me 50,000 rupees, sharing it with Varun and Bridge and
Mm-hmm.
Kautuk will bring my cost down significant. I'm paying 10K for the same quality and possibly adding an extra camera.
Right.
because there's three of us shooting simultaneously on one show.
Right.
So it became a need for us to club together, and it was like, oh, this is smart. We can do this if we are together. We can shoot sketches if we are all together under a collected banner, and get money to do our stuff.
Right.
And that was the idea. Then, if ideally we would have like to expand and whatever, but once the breakup kind of happened, we didn't really go alone because we were friends.
Right.
Like I've known Varun since I was 15 years old, and when I
Hmm.
started working with him is when I really became friends with him. It's fucking weird. And now we're still friends. We still run a podcast, and it's just we are have. I think it's a better thing for the long run because the podcast becomes its own entity
Hmm.
and it has its own IP, and all of us have our individual lives, and I think that becomes a much better way to go forward because this will probably last way more. This will last for a much longer time as opposed to us coming under this one company and this because none of us are like that. All of us are too weird, too different. Varun and I want
Hmm.
to act, but we have completely different places that we end up acting at. There's completely different approaches to acting. Though if we are put together in a sketch, we completely gel. Like I know what Varun is going to say. I know. Like we've actually gone into sketches. Like पेपर पे लिख दिया हम लोग ने TC and Varun. Varun is the guy who's jumped on the train without a ticket, and I'm the TC. And we've written on the script. We'll figure it out on shoot. Literally, both of us have written confidently that if it's two of us, we'll manage and we'll come up with punchlines and improvise on the shoot day. Literally, that is on script, and we've gone to shoot because the other characters who are being bought, the other actors, their lines are important, so we have to work on their punchlines as we can figure out on shoot.
Nice.
So that happened, and that relationship stays, and that is going to remain because it's years and years of improv and show after show after show every week. Like we
Uh,
would do a weekly improv show, so it was like we know what the other person is gonna say before he says it.
Tell me this. You said you would pull your resources together as a group, and that would make the
Yeah.
cost of production a lot lesser. So
Yes.
now, how does it affect you? Like, do you put out less content, or is that why we've switched to making more independent mobile curated content?
People started consuming mobile content. At that
Mm-hmm.
point of time, if you didn't have a well shot video, like if you look at our old sketches, they were very, like, they were elaborate
They
sketches.
were
And I
produced.
think they were produced. There was a person there, whatever, like, sometimes the show that we had done for MTV had
Hmm.
less of a budget compared to some of our, like, if you pull our sketches together, they will have a higher budget than, like, some
That's
songs
true.
I did had a higher budget. Just the we were calling in favors from industry professionals who came in for free because they were friends. There are
Mm-hmm.
people like a DOP. The first song that we shot, Bhaiya, I asked a friend, and his normal like daily rate would have been 50K to shoot a song. That guy was
Right.
sitting on a scooter and just shooting the video, and like he brought so much aesthetic sense to the video as us going, "Hey, I'm going to stand and say like she called me Bhaiya and sing," and just like making random stuff look correct. And sometimes we would, because we were going a little renegade with the shooting of it, like shooting while we were shooting Bhaiya, we were in the gully gucha, like कहाँ पे था यार? बांद्रा में वो जो लीलावती हॉस्पिटल के पीछे that tiny lane is there, no, which is just confusing. So these are the
Right.
tiny lanes.
Huh.
And we were shooting वहाँ पे there are murals of Amitabh Bachchan and stuff like that. So we were like, okay, we'll take shots here of me holding a board up and signboard and stuff for She Called Me Bhaiya. And we saw a small marriage procession going.
Right.
And we were like, fuck, we can just ask and the groom was not on a horse or anything. He was just walking, but he's fully decked up. I was like, damn, we got to take a shot here. I asked the groom, and they were like, nahi, nahi, yaar, it'll be weird. We were so desperate to be successful at that point of time. I ran to the groom. I was like, can we take a shot correctly? And we literally got one of the best shots of the video, and people are like, wow, they actually spent so much money to get a Bharat there. And for one shot, it's like, it was beautiful. And that guy was so awesome. Like, I told him to keep a straight face, and that straight face made it way more funny. And because it's just like, and that's why when you have people who are like great cinematographers and stuff like that doing something like that. When that kind of an opportunity comes, they get it in one take. That kind of stuff. So we were working with really awesome people, and change to now where it's more impressive if you're shooting something yourself. It's way more impressive when you're shooting something yourself, and it just suddenly changed. So it costs nothing. So for us to be together didn't make sense because we could still do shows together. Kautuk and I are still doing we have an entire two-man special. Varun and I keep talking about trying to do like a sketch comedy improv kind of show, and hopefully, if this hadn't happened, we would have probably ended up getting very serious about it and getting like productions and stuff like that together. So, ऐसा नहीं है कि we will not work together.
Mm-hmm.
I keep talking to Bridge. There is a new idea that I have that he's really going to be involved in from America. So the fact that we're shooting on our phones now makes it easier for me to be able to execute that idea. So we bonded better after the company dynamic was gone because now it's
Right.
literally as friends. Where if I have work for like specific like because Kautuk loves writing. He wants to end up as
Yeah.
a writer, and he's a novelist. And every time, like Varun and I have something that we are stuck with writing, and we're like, okay, this is a brand thing that we have to shoot an ad for and whatnot. Then Kautuk is the first person we call, and then that's a collaboration, shared project that we do, and we're together earning money off it. And that's fantastic. So we're still working. In fact, our work together and collaborating together has increased the moment the company dynamic
The
was moved
professional
away.
part of it, like, was
It
taken
was
away.
gone. In fact, we're more professional when we work on a particular project. Like Kautuk and
Right.
I will go like, okay, for the next 45 minutes, we're writing, 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 writing. And then we literally, all of us, like there are times where before a podcast, we sit with our food and we're
Hmm.
talking for an hour and we're not recording it. There was no point. We could have just sat in front of a TV and eaten food. But no, we're just logged in on a Zoom call, and I think that comes through on the podcast. I think that's rubbed off on the podcast. The camaraderie comes off better and it's gotten closer. And I think the insecurity has even lessened. Like it's become lesser between us because all of us are confident in the space that we are pursuing now without any pressure. Okay, oh, we have to work
Nice.
on the company also. No, we're individually doing stuff, and the more successful we get individually, the better it is for the one thing that we've kept consistent, which is our podcast, which is great,
Nice.
and we're happy with
Nice. That is so much gyan, like right there. And you addressed
it.
insecurity there, you addressed production there,
हाँ,
you addressed
it's
changing times there,
नहीं
all
होता
in
है.
one
A
shot.
creative people forming a company, it gets screwed up so fast because of insecurity. Most people are like, oh, ego, ego. No, it's insecurity.
Oof, hard. And your latest thing, LOL, Hase To Fase.
Yeah,
Tell me, when did that happen? I mean, you
that
have been
happened
getting stuck in
when,
closed rooms for a while now.
yeah, dude. It was like, hey, Adar, we have a concept where you're going to be locked in a room. Oh, great. I have a lot of experience with that. I'll figure some stuff out. But that happened in November.
Okay,
That actually happened in November.
okay,
And we were we were excited about the fact that something is happening, like a shoot is about to
right.
start happening, and we were like, okay, let's hope that nothing goes wrong, and this is the first shoot. So everybody was so scared about क्या बोलते हैं क्या होगा, and I
Execution.
ended up shooting we shot a movie also with so I was with Saqib Salim, and we ended up shooting a movie which was such a tiny production, like if there was normally four lightmen on set, they
Hmm.
made sure that two would do the job,
Right.
so it was forced to be tiny. And everybody was getting their temperature checked every day and stuff like that. तो वो सब तो हो रहा ही था, and that was very like patchy.
Hmm.
Then this thing comes along where they're like, oh no, there's going to be Sunil Grover, there's going to be this. And I'm like, dude, this is going to be massive, and it's going to
Right.
require the number of people that. So I was scared, and the moment they managed to execute the shoot, I was really happy because that means now better, bigger things are going to start happening because clearly the industry has figured out that खाने के पहले हाथ धोना चाहिए. And that is a big deal. Okay, normal wash basin के आगे वो गंदा वाला साबुन नहीं रखा है. There is a Dettol. proper Savlon bottle kept there. It's like, which is just normal stuff has started happening. And this is all that was required for us to start shooting again. But I was very happy when that happened. Then we went on to shoot another show that I think, yeah, I can talk about it. Netflix has announced it. So
Right.
it's going to happen soon with like a bunch of comedians again. And this one is completely different from LOL. This is more a competition format.
Right.
And it's called CPL. And it's Comedy Premium League. Because Premier apparently is too dangerous for us to use now. But
Premium League. Sounds like a
and
line of underwear.
yeah. Oh God. Because when we shot and we were like, then like let's change the show. Then we realized no, set pe wo tha. It's been shot over and over again. The logo has been used. We have to figure out something for the P. And but it's a new show that's gonna happen, and I don't know how much like we'll be told how much to talk about it and how, like when to talk about it, but that's also going to be fantastic. And so things were
Hmm.
really what I mean to say, things were really looking up. Like we
Right.
for LOL, it was a closed room with comedians, and
Right.
then 2 months later we were shooting CPL, which was a live audience every
Hmm.
for a week in a row, and what they had done at that point of time is they had tested. There was a proper COVID test for each about 120 people, and those 120 people kept rotating on a 40-person or a 40 audience basis
Capacity.
for each episode. So there were people who would come back, and so it was a very different way in which you would actually do a live short show. Like Comicstan
Hmm.
is all audience all the time, but never a rotational same
Same
120,
audience.
which
Yeah.
we needed to do now. Okay, we had to be sure that these people are going from home and everybody was dropped from the set to their house, and so that kind of bubble was maintained. The artists were not supposed to get in. Like normally, we would like shake hands with people or stuff like that with the audience, and we can't do that now. So all those little things that we had to really take care of, and but we managed to shoot it. So we were figuring stuff out, and then this happened. So it was a weird time, and we started. I've forgotten why we started talking about this, but yeah, LOL, because LOL was short, and so the industry was changing, and I think this is going to remain permanent now. This is not going to change. हमारा Dettol कहीं नहीं जाएगा for a while until people get complacent again. But things are getting better. Stand up भी आ गया है. Stand up में we had a 60-member audience, which was even tougher.
Right.
That was shot in March, just before this happened.
Hmm.
So that was the last edit, and that's what I finished like 3 days ago. I finished the edit, and that should be coming out on Amazon soon.
Nice. So basically, we've gotten a lot more professional, and with the whole bio bubble thing that started with
Yes.
NBA and Disney has now trickled down in its whatever possible effect
Yeah.
over here. So yeah, things are looking up. It's only a matter of time till we start getting back to normal and start working
Yeah.
again. Whew.
Like
I
we've
mean,
rejected work based on like there's an ad and you have to come to Delhi, and this was happening a few months in May mein ho raha tha.
hmm.
Like we're gonna come and we're gonna and it's become the norm where you go like everybody has to be tested on the set or I'm not coming.
Right.
And after I got COVID, by not doing anything over the top, I was just like, yeah, we we just got COVID. It was stupid. We just got COVID. And to put yourself in harm's way, in fact, a lightman not being given a COVID test is stupid.
Yeah.
Just because he's on set, you can't just say कि actor का COVID test हो गया and he is at a higher risk because he's interacting with way more people. His job requires him to interact with way more people. You have to test that person, and one person gets it, everybody does. So if a
Hmm.
production says that we are just going to do like random whatever spot testing for somebody and only the actors are going to be tested, you reject that job. Like now, though, after I've got COVID and I know what like for me it's bad, uh, I will guarantee not do a job even if it means losing something. I will create stuff at home and I'll figure it out. I'll run my house that way. But it is not worth getting COVID. Like it's, and I've known people who got it twice. They got it in the first round and and then you assume that, okay, they have the antibodies and they're still being careful
Availability.
because,
Yeah.
but they got it again in the second wave. तो बच के रहना यार अभी बस और क्या करें just shoot at home shoot on your phones and you've got the greatest instrument in your pocket right now you got to do it.
That is true. Rachita ji or Rachit AG is asking, good content
Hmm.
doesn't always get high numbers owing to the
Hmm.
constant changes in algorithms. Thoughts?
Yeah, so the thing is like you will keep putting your stuff up. Eventually, you'll get an audience. So before the lockdown happened, I
Mm-hmm.
had decided to the I think the only edge probably I had, for lack of a better word, is that before the lockdown happened, I had decided to take a break for 3 months
Okay.
uh, in March or something or February or something. And this was the lockdown happened on 23rd March, I remember last
Mm-hmm.
year.
Mm-hmm.
And I had decided that I'm going to take a break like mid-January or something, or towards the end of Jan. Ki I'm going to take a break for February, March, and April until the summer vacations begin. That's when the shows pick up. You know,
Mm-hmm.
that's when the student audience starts up again and they buy tickets for shows. So मैंने
Right.
बोला कि those 3 months are going to be like really bad because everybody's giving the exam. So I'm going to sit at home and I'm going to create content.
Mm-hmm.
And in that period, the lockdown happened, but that didn't change my creation plan. I was going to do it regardless. And this is something Varun had also told me. For the first 6 months, nobody's going to care. But for those
Mm-hmm.
6 months, you got to grind it out. For me, I think because of the lockdown, people are absorbing so much content. It took me about 3.5 months to hit the this is me, guys. I have been doing funny stuff for a while. So once I got the audience, then I started resharing all the old stuff that I'd done. So it's a matter of doing it. You don't even know which one will like which arrow is gonna hit the target.
What will strike? What will connect? You just have to keep
Yeah,
doing it.
तो yeah, but वो पता है numbers का करेगा तो problem है. Like right now, you know reels are doing well, so you got to figure out a way to do reels. Like you figure out your own way. Like I do my reels my way, and I have to figure out how to do it consistently. And it's just that I don't have the energy right now. I've written so many ideas. It's just I don't have the energy to like work out and get myself to standing shape and then try to shoot. First of all, my priority is right now to just take care of myself because that's what my doctor is telling me. Because this could, if I let it, then this can last for 6 months. Me being
Wow.
just half-assed and like not being at full energy.
Lethargic.
Yeah, lethargic, your body just not supporting you. It was a big reality check for me too. Once I got off the steroids,
Mm-hmm.
काफी reality check. Okay, oh shit, I am having trouble doing 10 push-ups also, which was like
Oof.
child's play. So
Mm-hmm.
getting back to what you were is more important for me right now personally. So I will create content slowly as much as I can, but I have to get back to that. If that takes me another month, I don't have a team to do it for me. I need to like that's why I don't have a team to help me with the content. So I have to get back to physical shape and then start doing everything so that that becomes the focus. But right now, so just make sure what your priority is. Numbers को मत देख. That's all. Sorry, बहुत लंबा हो गया इसके बारे में because इसके बारे में बहुत प्रवचन किया है मैंने और कौतुक ने घंटों तक.
Oh, this is great. I just got to highlight
Hmm.
that. But yeah, this was great, Adar. I mean, someone's asking for your poker face, so I mean, I don't even know. Like,
Hmm.
I don't know how. It's like telling a comedian, "Give me a joke, tell a joke,
Yeah.
give
I've
me a
done the
poker
story
face."
about Varun. I did the story about like did I say it or Varun said it on the podcast? But it's a very funny story where a girl came up to him after one of his jokes. It's a sketch that we do now, like it was on the channel. It was called Gore Gote. We changed his stand-up into a sketch, which is called. It was about testicular fairness cream. Okay,
I
that was
remember
the
that. Gore gote.
yeah, and yeah, Gore Gote was, and at that point of time, people like because it was like he saw an ad for vaginal fairness cream, which was bizarre. And he was like, okay, at some point there's going to be testicular fairness cream. And that was Gore Gote. It was a great thing that he had. And it was like, first time I saw it, I was blown away by that joke. No pun intended. And he used to do that, the room would shatter. Okay. So one day after he did that joke, a girl came up to him at the bar after the gig. And it was
Uh,
like, she was like, can you do and she's chatting him up and he's also excited. He's single. He's 20, whatever, 24 or something. And she's like, can you do that joke again? And no comedian enjoys when somebody says, "Can you do that joke again?" But Varun's like, "Oh my God, she's really cute. I'm gonna do that joke again." So Varun's like, "Okay, I'll do it again." And Varun gets into this, and she's like, "Okay, wait, let me get my boyfriend." And she gets,
Arey.
and she and her boyfriend watch Varun do the bit again. And I'm like, "Fuck, that's such a funny story." But I think if we've done this in the podcast, and we lost our shit when we used to talk about our old things. Like I think when we come back together and really start shooting in a studio again, there's going to be another level of excitement for everybody to
Yeah.
go back and start shooting the way they used to.
Yeah, we took a lot of things for granted for a while. Now this
Oh
is just
shit, man! Yeah.
okay. On this high note of optimism and hope for the future, I think it's time to
Yes.
sign out. Thank you so much, the other guy.
Awesome.
It's been a
Thanks,
while I've
buddy.
seen you. Finally, we shall meet someday
Yeah,
and
dude.
work
Very long
together.
time. Yes, we should. होएगा. अभी तो like it's going to be. We are going to. Our economy is going to be Bitcoin now. That's literally what's going to happen. It's just suddenly. Okay, guys, now you're allowed to work. Okay, we're ready to work.
Let's go.
That's going to happen. Chalo.
Thanks, guys.
Awesome, Xerxes.
See you, man.
Bye,
Thank you
buddy.
so much. Take care. Bye.
Take care. Bye.